welcome to Real Talk, episode 61. I'm Todd, this is AJ.
Yo!
And we're back.
We're back, better than ever. Dude, we've been having some great conversations.
Hey,
I'm excited to dive
We had a
in.
great conversation, and I hope to have another one.
Plenty of them.
So, yeah, I think a lot of it, as we've talked about, is the new table.
I think you're
And
right,
by
man.
new, used table that we found and turned into our new table here.
Craigslist. Just kidding. Not Craigslist.
It was just laying around.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, welcome to Real Talk. Briefly, what's Real Talk? Since we know about the 10-second rule, a lot of them don't listen past that, you silly. Next time I should go, listen for more than 10 seconds. Real Talk, yeah, what is it? It's an opportunity to talk about God, life, the Bible, and everything in between.
Yeah,
Gist of it. Up above, you'll see a link. The link is www.theremnant.life/real-talk. Ask your questions, topics, concerns. A lot of times it's about God and the Bible and those kinds of things,
That's right.
but it can be about anything. And we're down to chat about that.
That's right. Chop it up with whatever you guys want to talk about.
Nice. You brought up the chop it up.
We like to chop.
So we're going to get right to it. How's life, man?
It's good.
I don't know why I did that.
I'm very excited for this episode because we're talking about a bunch of awesome stuff, so it got me really excited. But
History. We're talking about history.
yes,
Actually, really
and
were.
history is very interesting.
Yeah.
Quick side note: I love history. I just don't know much about it, so I love to listen.
And especially, this is the type of conversations that people probably think we don't have. Right before we started filming this, we were talking about Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan.
Yep, very interesting men in history.
Yes, great conquerors. If not great men, probably.
Yeah. That's why I said interesting.
And I said great conquerors. Real talk.
My week. So actually, I made a quick note because I wanted to
that's
make
cool.
sure I mentioned something. So one thing that I've been thinking about a lot was, if you guys have watched the two previous episodes, 59 and 60, I was kind of on this continuation about time and the concept of time and like it passing and what it feels like and how it flies and how scary it is. Well, in the midst of that, I kind of branched off into another realm of the idea of life being a choice.
So was I.
No.
I haven't even told you this. Yeah, go on.
Wow. So, Holy Spirit. So yes, the whole idea of life is a choice. And it kind of blew my mind because I was like, man, it's so crazy that life is a choice, and as Christians, we continuously choose sin, which is so weird.
Which is not good for us.
No, like when you think of like every single moment in your life, every day, right now, in this very moment, I'm choosing to speak. I'm choosing to say what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I'm choosing to act the way I act, and it's so interesting that in those moments, like I guess it was a reality, that a continued reality. I was like, man, like how broken I am because I continue to do wrong, or I continue to think wrong, or like who I am or what I stand for, It's always a choice, and that kind of really shook me. I was like, man, I want to be able to say that I choose Christ every day. And I think to an extent I do, but God's love is not partial. It's transformational. Transformational being everything. You are supposed to be a whole different person. Your old self has died. This is your new creation, right? But I find myself so often living still in the mindset of who I used to be. That haunting, it's a haunting. The old me has died, and he still haunts me. He's still looming in the background.
Picture,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I guess can't speak. That's what's been on my mind. Just the combination of time and how it's passing in life, that also just kind of branched off into like life being a choice, and everything we do is because a lot of people, including myself, we can be so naive to our own desire or our own, we don't want to own up to the fact that we made that choice.
We want in that moment. We chose to do that more than we chose. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's very interesting because that's just not the truth. We are in control of our own act. Actually, that's the most we're in control is ourselves, but we don't want to claim that. So that's what I've been kind of thinking about. But,
yeah, I was actually just pondering what you said. It's pretty crazy. The idea of having choice. I really was thinking about this a little different. But do you think that we can go through life, this kind of, as you're pondering, and not, and I guess, I know we've talked about autopilot, but have you ever let yourself really think about it? Because if we have a choice, right, and we still choose wrong.
Yep.
Interestingly, we're going to be having a message about this soon.
Cool.
Weird. Not about necessarily. I don't want to go too much into it. But, so the idea that we go into autopilot, because I'm fascinated by the fact that I've talked about it before with Paul. I do what I don't want to do and don't do what I want to do. So how does that happen? I have a choice. You said it. Right. I have to be real about it. But it's almost though autopilot is actually allowing the old self to be in control. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So like what we call autopilot sometimes, what if that's just what that means is we're allowing our natural nature that hasn't been fully changed yet, fully sanctified to take over? Because I was thinking about myself. Dude, this is why this came up. So yesterday or the day before, I had this surreal moment of like, what am I, me, I do this a lot. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yep.
There are things that I want in my life, okay? So for instance, I guess I'm going to get real, marriage, family, those kinds of things, right? Yeah. And the truth is, I can tell you all the reasons intellectually that but some of them are real up to this point, but a lot of them are also because maybe I've went into autopilot at different times in my life, and I haven't consciously chosen to do things and pursue things that I want. This is not even this is outside of even the times that I don't follow God.
Right.
So for me, I was thinking about the fact that it was the end of the day, and I go, why did I do X, Y, Z? Or why didn't I do X, Y, Z? And what I would come to is like, I don't know, man. I've said this to you before. It's almost like I'll go through my day, and this idea, this veil kind of comes over my eyes, and I just walk around like a horse with blinders. Maybe that's a better one. And then all of a sudden, I'll have these brief moments where it's removed, and I'm going, gosh, why don't I live like this all the time to where I can see everything? Yeah. Does that make sense at all?
Absolutely.
And so, do you think it's that? I guess the question to you is, I don't know, man, because I know, for instance, I know you want to follow Jesus. So using your example. So the times you don't, why isn't that happening? You're empowered, right? Why aren't, I guess let me put it this way, why aren't you making that choice, right? Why am I not making that choice? And I don't mean to use autopilot as an excuse,
right?
But it is interesting that, because it's not an excuse, because the truth is autopilot only happens when I allow it to. Using the term autopilot. That moment where I just do whatever I feel.
Because it's still a choice. It's your choice to put yourself in autopilot.
And not do what he told me to do, which helps prevent me from going there.
Absolutely.
And in this case, we're using autopilot as, or at least I am, just as a word to describe not doing what I know I should do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, so I had an image kind of pop in my head when you were talking about that with autopilot. Like you said, I think it's us like letting our old selves take control again. I think of like a student driver, right? Like those cars that have like a steering wheel on both sides, and they have pedals too. It's like we're in the steering, we're in the driver's side, and we're going along, and we're like, okay, following Jesus, and then for some reason we decided that we get sleepy, so we want to take a nap, and that's when the student driver's like,
I'll take over.
Exactly, yeah, I'll go now, and
that's good.
And but they're not as experienced, so they're like,
or they're just ridiculous and want to do ridiculous things.
Right.
I'm going to drive off on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I'm going to go do burnouts in the Walmart parking lot or something ridiculous. So like just it kind of takes you in the left field, because it's like you're losing your vision. Like,
it's true, man. At least for me, I found that, and it's funny that you brought this up, because I don't say it as an excuse. It actually is very convicting that I just go, what in the world? There are days that I will do that I'll ask myself and go, why did I not pursue anything that, one, I want to? Okay, so even, let's say we're not even talking about biblical pursuits, although honestly our entire life should be worshiping him, and in the way, the reason we do things, but anything, but also following Jesus, and I'm talking about reading his word, praying, but I'm also talking about the other things that, like, okay, you know me, we talk about this a lot, being goal driven, and sometimes I just don't know. I guess it's weird how much time you can lose in your life if you let life be ran on autopilot.
Absolutely. And that's another reason why I was thinking about time. Like,
yeah, it goes back to that. It's a good point.
Absolutely, because then when you decide to truly reflect, you realize how much time you've wasted because of autopilot. I think of before I moved here. I was like a zombie, and I had so much wasted time. Like, it's insane. Like, prime years of life, and I wasn't doing anything. And it should be more convicting than probably what I feel. But that, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I mean too, is that although I am such an enigma to myself, because what you just said, he goes, I should feel worse than I feel, right?
Yeah.
it's the same thing. And for me, it's almost like, okay, I see reality. The blinders come away, like the horse blinders. I'm like, oh, I've got to do this. And then somehow, some way, probably because I'm not doing what God told me to do as diligently, right? What do I mean by that? If you're listening, you know, we always think that God wants us to read his word, to pray, to worship, to be in community because it's just some system of rules. But it's not, right? That's like saying that the only reason we water a tree is because we're just supposed to. No, we water a tree so the tree can be healthy, right?
That's right.
We water plants so they can be healthy. They get sunlight so they can be healthy. What happens if I take a flower and typical flower here, so some botanist is going to get on, and we move it out of the sun, right? And don't give it water. It's going to die. We don't sit there and go, hey, that was a stupid rule, right? I mean, and so for me, sometimes I'm going, God tells me to do these things so that I can see, so that I can be in control, so that I'm not on autopilot. And if I live my life and my faith like that everything he tells me to do is because he is a good father who loves me and wants good for me, then those pursuits become easier. But if they're just those list of rules and stuff, then I think it makes it even easier for me to go, right? And then what happens when I go, goes back to what you said. Then I can't see it. Then I don't even feel.
Yes.
I don't know if that's connecting with anyone.
No, absolutely.
All these things. Intern guys making sense. You get
and I think something else even that popped in my head was the idea that I think we use positivity as an excuse. Like,
what do you mean?
Like to not reflect enough to actually feel conviction. We're like, well, that's past, so we just got to look forward. We're not going to think about it. Like, which I guess in some cases is good, but like I think we use that. Like
dwelling on the past isn't good, but reflecting, as long as there's something that comes from it. Because some people reflect on it and they don't do anything with it. So it's like I break a glass, and then I just look at the glass and go, man, I wish I hadn't broke that glass. Shouldn't have broke that glass. Instead of going, one, I should clean the glass up. Two, how did I drop that? Well, I was rushing inside, and do you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the difference. Maybe the difference is
that's good.
But like you said, I think people say because we don't want to be negative, you don't even think about it. Just then what you end up with is a house full of broken glass because you keep breaking it and never changing. You know?
It's the house is on fire meme.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's interesting stuff and weird. Holy Spirit, that what you said, because it just thanks for sharing that because it speaks into what I'm kind of was pondering myself a little bit. You know, how that kind of stuff happens. So.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So how has your week been?
Told you some of it.
Yeah.
Which is cool, so I don't have to go back and talk about that. Week has been okay. Some people say I feel as though sometimes this podcast and web series is tough for me.
Yeah. Because
some people only see me for the 20 to 30 to 40 minutes per week on this.
Right.
If that's all you know me, then I was wondering, are they thinking that I'm just so sad and like the world stinks, and because I'm sharing like these real things, right? Like, so I hesitate sometimes. Like I should not. I literally come in and go, I should not go as serious, you know. But I can't help the way my mind is sometimes.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't really know how to put into words. I'm constantly thinking, man. I'm constantly pondering what all this has meant. I'm fascinated by, I said this many times before, people and how the responses to things, including myself, which kind of ties in with what you just shared. Why do I do what I do sometimes?
Right.
And why don't I do what I want to do? You know, those kinds of things. Yeah. So there's that. And I think that's really it. I've shared this before, but hey, we're talking about our lives. This P90X thing, man, it has become very difficult. We're on week 5.
Yeah, we did it before this.
Yeah, and I realized that I'm constantly tired.
Yeah, it's
lethargic.
It's wearing me down.
And I was like, what's wrong with me? And the other day it hit me. I was like, well, you're eating less because I'm trying. You are working out ridiculous amount.
Yes.
I don't sleep. So why am I lethargic? So that's kind of the stuff that's going on. I don't know. Can't think of any of the rest of it. If I do, I'll talk about it. I have been pondering the conspiracy theories again.
Yeah, we love them.
There's a big sigh, and everyone's looking at me like I shouldn't talk about this.
I'll go.
Listen, I'm not. Listen, now this is what I'm going to say about it. I'm only going to share one interesting one.
Okay.
I don't think this is the truth. But I find them interesting because it gives you a different way to look at stuff. Am I right?
Absolutely. Listen.
The more people tell me to not talk about this, the more I want to.
I'm in.
So today, as you know, I was listening to a podcast, and I'm going to say this again. This is my what's this called? When it's like your announcement at the beginning of something. Your live
disclaimer.
This is my disclaimer. I do not believe this to be true, and these views do not express the views of the Remnant Church or the Real Talk crew. See that?
I love it.
Also, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. However, people brought an interesting thought about this quarantine thing.
Okay.
You ready? I just find them interesting. It's a good movie.
No, I love this.
We actually talked about this, and then I heard a guy talk about it, and I was like, So, if there were an asteroid or a comet that was going to hit Earth, right? There was even a 20% chance it was going to hit Earth.
Okay.
Would they, being the people in charge, tell us?
No.
Bingo. Why? What happened when we had a virus? Everyone ran out and took all the toilet paper. Right? So
no, that's real.
So this guy said, I don't think this is true. He goes, but if they were going to, they would want people to be in their houses. Yes. Or it brought up another interesting thought I never thought of, like the sun. Let's say the sun had a solar flare that was going to like not even kill us, but shut all the satellites down. You know, just something weird. They would want people in a controlled environment, so that they don't go crazy and loot and pillage.
Think about like a tornado drill at a school or a fire drill.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. So what if that were just, again, I believe all of this. I know the virus is real.
I love this.
I just find this stuff interesting.
Me too.
So
I think what you're saying, dude. If something that catastrophic was going to happen, because what does the world do? We panic. As humans, we panic.
We panic.
Mass panic, like you said. You know, people going out buying everything.
Toilet paper. Remember that first week we went out? It was
unbelievable.
Yeah. There was no food.
So imagine the president of the United States coming on and saying, just let you guys know, a meteor's going to hit Earth, we're all dying. I'm serious.
That's not going to happen. I know. That's what I'm saying.
You know, because what is everyone going to do? They're going to go nuts.
You're right, 100%.
It's going to be literally insane.
Yeah.
So, like, I believe that. Like, I don't think they would come
I believe it's feasible. We don't think that's happening, but the concept behind it.
Sure, the concept.
Which, by the way, leads back to God. Because humans, you said humans panic. Why do we panic? When do we panic?
Because we're out of control.
Bingo. And the reality is, if you think life is just a cosmic accident in which we're floating around on a ball throughout space with, at any time, anything could happen, just a flip of a coin, how would you not live your life in a constant panic? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I can't fathom that. So, leading back to... so I like to read those, man, because they're interesting. We've gotten tons of looks from the crew, covering faces, telling us not to do this. So, hey, hopefully this isn't the end of Real Talk.
No, man,
which, by the way, you want to go get real again? Why are they afraid of it? Because they know that Christian subculture and me talking about conspiracies means we're going to get canceled. Cancel culture.
Yeah, dude, you already know I'm beside you on this. Like, this is
Intern Clint literally goes like this when I say cancel culture. He goes, right?
Literally, like, this show is called Real Talk. Like, we can talk about life. This is what it's about. That's literally the description of our show. We talk about God, like the Bible, and everything in between.
Baubles.
Yep, and bobbleheads. I have an extensive collection.
Do you?
Shout out to Bob. No.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Great. Now you've lied on a Christian show. Anyway, I do think that was an interesting theory because you know why conspiracy theories, by the way, exist. Let me tell you. One, to give some sort of meaning to a life, right? Without, if you don't have so let's say you don't believe in God. Your human nature wants to come up with reasons and cause and effect because it gives us some sort of paradigm to live out of.
Science.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So it's like they're still having something in control. They've just created a scenario. However, I'll be even more. Do I think that, there are things that we act like are conspiracy theories that I don't think, I think it's crazy to think that there aren't governments out there that use propaganda and lying and stuff to control what people think and what people do.
Most proven documentation.
Yeah, exactly. But even me saying that, people are going, "Oh, are these people crazy?" I'm like, dude, no. It is irrational to assume by the way, as Christians, you already assuming that we live in a sinful, fallen world.
Yep.
So that means sinful, fallen people who don't believe in Jesus.
Yep.
Across the world we're talking about, are in control of certain areas, right? What are they going to do? They're going to do shady things.
Absolutely.
Right? So, anyway, I heard that interesting theory, and I was like, you know what? We kind of joked about that, and it's true.
Yeah, man. I love this stuff. You know, I could talk about this stuff all day. It's very intriguing. So.
Yeah. So, cancel culture, right? I should define that, just in case.
Sure.
So, apparently, I've learned this. I'm getting hip, man. The last year, cancel culture is that concept that in the modern days of social media, that if you say something that's not PC, politically correct, the masses, and by the masses we mean the loud minority.
Yes.
Or sometimes the loud majority, but typically loud minority, is going to cancel you. Meaning they cause a big stink, they trash you publicly, they ignore your product.
Yes, they throw red flags up.
Yeah, they make it so that you can no longer do what you do.
That's right.
Which, by the way, is so ridiculous.
Yeah, they try to erase you from
the
world of society online.
Yeah, good description. So that's what intern Clint, by the way, does have experience in YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think he's looking out for us.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't realize that, frankly, we didn't expect it to go this long.
No, but I love it. So
the other thing I'd like to talk about, since we're talking about conspiracies, it's not really a conspiracy, but we've actually looked into this. So listen, folks, we aren't obsessed with views around here. But we do believe that the more views you get, the more people you're reaching.
Absolutely.
And we know, we have documentation through our messages, through emails and stuff, that Real Talk has reached and impacted people's lives for the better.
Amen.
That being said, before the quarantine happened, we had been hitting, on our live sessions particularly, we had 17, 19, 1,800 views.
That's right.
Which, for a church and a ministry and a thing our size, is pretty crazy.
Oh,
right? And I think we probably took it for granted. I'll be honest, I did. When I started going around and looking at other Facebook videos of these huge places, and they were only getting what we were getting, I'm like, this happened just yesterday. I was like, we were so arrogant. to have 1,900, I was like, what is this? And now all of a sudden after, because we went through and looked through them, it went literally right after.
Yep.
So, and the thing is, we had the same amount of shares.
Same amount
of comments.
Oh yeah, it was all the
same amount of likes, and all of a sudden we're down 3, 4, 800 views. Weird.
Absolutely.
Still don't know why. If any of you out there watching are social media, I don't know, gurus, and you want to tell us what's going on, the best we can come up with is that Facebook, because they're also quarantining themselves.
That's right.
There aren't actual people working.
That's right. It's run by bots right now.
Bots. So the bots, their filtering system is probably stronger or higher, for lack of a better word, than what's typical. So they're kind of, the way I view it, I don't know about you, it's like if everything's going through a net, right? The net's holes are smaller, so it's catching stuff.
Yep.
The other option is we have a secret enemy out there who is flagging us or something. So that's weird that's happening.
Absolutely, it's definitely a weird thing. It would be interesting to get some perspective from somebody else.
Sure.
To see if they're having the same issues, right? Like if there's anybody out there that does post videos on the regular, whether that's like YouTube, Facebook, specifically Facebook, but let us know if you're having issues with viewers going down, because we definitely are. So.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, it's kind of, but even that, I want to be clear. Even that, we're so blessed with our numbers, right?
Yes, it's crazy.
It is. That being said, too, though, here's the flip side of it that we've noticed, that these pre-recorded web series podcast episodes are skyrocketing.
Going up.
Right. Yeah. And it's just such an odd thing to us, because before it was always completely the other way around.
Yep, live will get more.
So, yeah. Also, my hometown has betrayed me and has no longer. So if you are one of my folks from my hometown, you know who you are. Are you still here?
You here?
Are you here? What an odd show we've come up with.
I love this. This is
I like to think that the podcast people are like, yeah.
Oh, they're probably.
And the web series people are like, ooh.
Because they have to look at us or something?
Yeah. Because they know us, so they're more embarrassed. Whereas the podcast people are like, I'm just here for a good time.
Hey, these guys are interesting.
Yeah.
I hope so, anyway.
Intern Clint, are we good via symbol here with your hand to continue and answer a few questions? He says yes. Okay. Wow. That guy's a blessing, man, because he keeps us reined in a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Do we ignore him sometimes? Sure.
But you know what?
But he's still there.
Yes, he gives grace, so appreciate it.
Love that guy. All right, so let's go ahead and answer a few questions / topics.
Sure.
Unless you had anything else to talk about.
I don't think so. I think that was pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Can't think of anything else.
One interesting... I'll come to it later. I was going to ask him a question. All right, here we go. I will go first here.
Okay.
So this question this came from our anonymous database that you also can be a part of at www.theremnant.live/real-talk.
Boom. That was professional.
Thanks, man. I'm getting better.
Awesome.
Hi. Question 1. Hi. What are ways that someone can confront someone and prove that the Lord is real? Because I have some friends that say he is not, and I don't know what to do, but I'm staying faithful. God bless you, Todd and AJ.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you. God bless you.
I think that you can show people God and you can show people Jesus by the way you treat them. Like you said, you're trying to stay faithful. Walk it out with these people. The difference between people who are Christians and people who are not Christians is there tends to be a naivety to the people who are not believers, and we're kind of told to treat them that way, right? Like,
You want to explain that for people?
yeah, we can't hold people if someone does not claim to follow Jesus Christ, we cannot hold them to the standard of following Jesus Christ.
It's truth. Yeah.
So we have to figure out ways to love them where they're at.
That's really good, man.
Now, if they're Christians, but that's a different story. But as someone who claims that they do not believe in God, you have to love them the best way you possibly can and show them God through how you act. And so, to me, that's the best way. And honestly, I don't know what that looks like because it can be different for whatever the situation is and who the person is. Whether that's like you said, just keep bearing with them. I think one of the coolest things you can do as a Christian is show patience and bear with people's junk. Whether that's with fellow Christians or with people who are not believers. I think that shows a lot of humility.
Yeah. Well, pretty humble question to even ask this.
Absolutely.
Like we are the perfect ones to answer it or something, which we're not. But a couple things come to mind when I think about, in my personal experience, believers interacting with non-believers.
Yeah.
One is a lot of times, and this is a phrase, we lack the courage of our convictions. And people notice that. So if I say that I believe in Jesus, but I act like I'm embarrassed, I act like I'm ashamed, I act like I don't have... I don't know, that I can't prove it, that I'm the one that has to prove to the world that, please believe me, this is real. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, do you live your life bold as though you are the one who knows the truth? And because people can tell that, man. And if you're coming up and going, you should believe in Jesus, and they're like, why, he's stupid? And you're like, yeah, I guess it is kind of stupid. People aren't going to, they don't believe that.
Right, you got to stand firm with what you believe in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the flips are with that is also the idea is that you have to remember that, let yourself remember that you are the one that knows the truth.
Absolutely.
So what I mean by that is if you were, we've used this example before. Well, let me put it this way. If you knew that your friend was walking toward a cliff.
Right.
And, you knew it. You were at the edge of it yourself. You saw it. You knew if you go this way, you're going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to sit there and go, hey, you're not going to walk with them as though there is no cliff there.
Absolutely.
You're going to feel confident in the fact that I know 100% that you're headed for something that's going to hurt you. I'm going to tell you because I love you, and I'm going to believe it that much.
Absolutely.
The other analogy you could use is like, say you're on a plane, and they're like, yeah, I don't need a parachute to jump out of this plane.
Yep.
You're like, yes, you do. And like, no, you're not going to go, I guess not, and take yours off, right? Or act like you have to prove to them the necessity of a parachute.
Right.
That's reality. And,
That's really
I
good.
think what you need to do is to remember that. The third thing is, and this is a personal thing I do in my life, I will tell people about Jesus, they'll know I'm a Christian, but if I think that someone is not open to the truth, what I call a person of peace, someone who might be questioning, but it's because they're open and they want their questions answered, versus then I will talk to them. If they are not, and I feel like they are just trying to attack, trying to debate for the sake of debating, I'm not interested, because life's too short to waste time trying to debate with someone whose mind is closed to truth anyway, who's not even willing to hear it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean I don't tell them. It doesn't mean I don't pray for them.
Right.
It just means that you need to trust the Spirit in you if someone's closed off. Jesus talks about don't throw your pearls before swine. Don't throw the truth before people that aren't going to hear it.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
That's
great
really
question,
good.
though.
Yes. Let's see here. Next question. Americans are obsessed with convenience and comfort. How do we as Christians not fall in this worldly trap? Thanks.
I think that regardless of the purpose is that COVID-19 has given us a wake-up call.
Absolutely.
All right, so if we're really honest here, we still haven't really been hit by it the way that we could, right? If this were to go on a year where no one's working, then we're going to feel it.
Yep.
You know, food shortages, because I've heard that actually someplace that is starting to happen a little bit, right?
I've heard this.
I heard somewhere that, and don't quote me on this, but they had to kill Tyson, or someone had to kill 2 million chickens because they didn't have anyone to butcher them.
Yeah, it was Tyson.
Yeah, mm-hmm. So think about that. You know, 2 million chickens is affecting someone.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, that's 2 million chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I saying this? Because I think COVID-19 gives us an opportunity to face this reality of what life is really about.
Yeah.
Without having to fully get there yet, thank God. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, like, if I let myself go, or think about right now, you're just not able to get a haircut.
Sure.
You're not able to, I don't know, go out and go out to dinner all the time at restaurants, sit in. That's going to make you start to think, and we've talked about this from the very beginning, is this is an opportunity to actually tell you what is really important in life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because a lot of the things that we say are important aren't important. So how do we avoid this trap is we have to keep an eternal mindset. Jesus talks about that.
Absolutely.
What's really important? What is really important in life? And that's the first step, is to allow yourself to face the reality of life and what is really important. Because the old saying is you can't take that stuff with you.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about this with Alexander the Great, actually. Yep. You can't take this stuff with you. It's true.
Yes.
And so I think that's the first thing. And the second thing is how do you keep an eternal mindset? Well, you read God's word.
Amen.
And you understand what's important, and you actually apply that stuff. And when Jesus says things like, or the Bible says, for instance, that the love of money is the root of all evil. Like, what does that really mean? It's not just money. It's the trap of accumulating things and thinking that that's going to lead.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
So I don't know if that answers, but I think that's a good start.
Yes, and I think the idea of a culture of convenience and comfort is already a trap in itself. Like, because when you think of Christianity, like what you do when you're following God, you're in the Spirit. What you're doing is not comfortable. Mm-hmm. So if you slip into a culture of convenience and comfort, there's probably a part of you that's already screaming at you, saying something's probably not right.
It's good, and on a tangible advice level, mm-hmm. and I've followed this for a long time, and there are a lot of people in the world that do this. One of my sayings is do hard things.
Absolutely.
Like right now in your life.
And even if it's little.
Yes. Take cold showers. This sounds ridiculous. Take a cold shower. People in the studio are laughing now. I'm serious. You wake up in the morning mm-hmm. and you don't want to take a cold shower. No. Do it anyway. That's as training for getting your body and your mind used to not being comfortable.
Yes.
This sounds so dumb. I do this sometimes. This is so dumb, but I literally do this for this purpose. There's times in the winter when it's snowing, I will walk out without shoes on if I need to go to my car. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's not comfortable. It's a small thing to practice.
Yep.
Working out.
Yes. What we're doing right now.
Yes. Work out. It's what we talked about. One of our guys, it's working out. I was like, listen, man, it doesn't matter if you do it perfect. It's the fact, are you doing it?
Yep.
Are you doing it when you're not comfortable? That's when I see if someone really wants something. So
absolutely.
Do all those kinds of things. I'm trying to think of other things. I think those are great examples. Make yourself get up early once or twice a week. I'm talking like an hour earlier. Mm-hmm. So that you get used to doing hard things. And I think what that does is that prevents you from falling into that trap too, because it reminds you that you can handle not being comfortable.
And I love it. It's like you're constantly sharpening yourself for the real battle.
That's a really good way to put it. You're training for something hopefully that may never come, but if it does, you're ready.
That's right.
It sort of reminds me of, there was a Ricky Gervais, that's his name, right? The comedian. Uh-huh. And I'm not saying, I'm not real familiar with him other than he was the creator of The Office in Britain.
Right.
So, all right, because I love the American version. But it was interesting. This ties in with this. He was sort of skewering and really tearing into celebrity culture. Yeah. Because he's like, quit going around telling the world your advice. And he said, how ridiculous is it? And I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he pointed to a celebrity who was crying outside of his mansion. Literally, the videos of him sobbing and like, I'm so miserable and I have nowhere to go. And it's this ginormous mansion. I can't go get my eyebrows threaded or whatever. Like, think about that. The pure decadence of that. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of what he's saying too. Is like, are you kidding me? I really respected him for that.
Yeah.
At least in that moment, because he's trying to point out like this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
And to a smaller degree, when we compare our lives to the rest of the world, if someone from a third world country were to look at us complaining that we can't go to Burger King and sit down and have a burger,
right?
While I'm eating, I just got to eat this steak that I cooked myself. I mean, it's ridiculous, And keeping that kind of mindset, I think, is helpful too.
Absolutely, man. There's always, yeah, it's good.
Because, man, I feel silly sometimes what I complain about when I think about other people's lives.
Yes.
I saw I don't know if it's real, but I saw a picture, a meme, or it wasn't even a meme, but I saw a picture. So it was somewhere in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't even want to say a country where it's war torn. It might have been Yemen or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I just ruined the illusion that I know where every country is in the world. But there is a doctor there, and he was giving out bread.
Yeah.
To children.
Wow.
And during this war torn place, and a kid comes up to him, and it has pictures, like a set of them, because they're taking.
Yeah.
And he's sobbing. And the next one, it's because this kid came up to him and said, "Can you please give me medicine so I'm not hungry anymore?" That's eye-opening.
Yeah.
To me, that there are people in the world that are hungry, man. I'm not talking about I didn't eat since 7 a.m.
Right.
That there's children. It can make me cry if I think about it. Who are starving and go up to this doctor's there just giving out bread, and he's there to help, and the kid he takes the bread, but he's like, I'm more interested in not being hungry anymore tomorrow.
That's right.
Or the next day. So, man, that's the reality a lot of people living in this world. And I think that'll help you not give into that mindset too,
Make you thankful.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wow, that was really good, man. That was...
All right. Are you up or am I? I am, I think. All right. In Luke, the Gospel of Luke, there is a story where Jesus was 12 years old, and he was with his parents, and they left Jerusalem, and he stayed behind. When they found him 3 days later, he was in the temple listening and preaching. First of all, if that was my case, I'd be grounded for life, they said. That's so true. And then they say, 1, how would you react if you were in Joseph's shoes? So Jesus, his earthly father. Mm-hmm. And 2, they just said, how awesome is this story?
Well, I'll answer number 2 first. What an awesome story this is. Because it's just, I love how telling it is of what Jesus' life is going to be. Yeah. The fact that you got this 12-year-old kid who's he was so enthralled by the temple, like that he just wanted to be there, and even crazier to see your 12-year-old son there teaching. First off, it's probably scary.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure that's probably something that they'd never seen before, and I'm sure there's obviously there had to be a sort of just pride in that, like that's my kid, like how incredible is that? I think that's what fatherhood brings, and that's also a direct reflection of what God thinks of us too when we do cool things. He's like, hey, that's my kid. So yeah, I would say, how would I react? I would definitely be super excited. First off, scared because where'd my kid go? Yeah. But once I found him, like, wow, that's incredible. Like that's my son. And that's it's surreal to think of that in the bigger picture of what God thinks of us. So
yeah, man, it's one of those things that I think if we put ourselves in the shoes of these people as though this really happened, you actually then go, how nuts is that?
Oh yeah.
Well, keep in mind, so we talk about blinders, right? Mm-hmm. So the birth of Jesus was pretty crazy. Joseph and Mary had visions and had dreams where God spoke to them. They knew this kid was special.
Yep.
But just like anything else, if they were humans, you don't think that by the 12th year they're kind of like, ugh. Like they sort of forget, like, I know that was weird, but you don't think about it.
Sure.
And I wonder if this was like for Joseph, because it asked specifically if he's, that's my son, and then you come back and you see him doing that, and you go, I don't know if that's my son, right? like that's someone else. Yeah. Because I think what you said is really cool. It would be eerie too. Like that's almost nowadays that could be a horror movie in a way. You come, this kid is just speaking.
Yes.
Obviously it was awesome and he's preaching and teaching, but I also think about, man, like you imagine how busy they must have been. How many kids? We don't know how many total kids they had.
Yeah.
But They're like, all right, where's everyone at? And they get home and like, man, I feel like we're missing something. Did we forget someone?
Jesus is gone.
We got to go back. Get in the car. Get in the donkey, whatever. So,
That's
I
wild.
think it would be awesome. It's a cool story. And I think if you put yourselves in the shoes of them, which this person seems to be doing, you really would go, I bet you that was a moment, a wake-up call to them to go,
man.
I remember who you are. And he even says Mary stored these things up in her heart. And, another reminder. Because they were human, and we tend to not think that.
Oh, absolutely. We lose sight of that, and then it's always reignited in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And that was one of them.
It's awesome. Alrighty.
So we got one more, right?
Yes.
Okay, last one. Why was every male child born in the New Testament circumcised after 8 days? Jesus, John the Baptist, etc. It's weird that they mention it.
This all comes back to the covenant made between Abraham and God. God said, you're going to be my people, and this is going to be the sign of our covenant. And the sign is that you would be circumcised,
That's right.
So the reason that in the New Testament, it's making sure to point out to you that John the Baptist and Jesus or whatever, that these people were being circumcised, is that they were still following God's law.
That's crazy.
You understand? So aren't you thankful, some people in America, that it's not contingent on that anymore.
That's right.
And that, Jesus, after his, fulfilled the law in that way, and that doesn't have to happen. And like Paul says, circumcised, uncircumcised alike doesn't matter. Because back then, something that's common in America now, it's kind of awkward, is circumcision. Not common back then. The Greeks and the pagans would not have been circumcised, only, primarily the Jews.
That's right.
So they were like, no, Jesus always followed God. He always followed the law, all the way up through. He didn't come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it, as he said. So that's the reason he's pointing that out to you. Does that answer the question, you think?
Absolutely.
Intern Clint listening, does that answer the question? Cool. I think that's it, right?
That is everything.
Good episode.
Absolutely. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a whole episode dedicated to conspiracy theories. Cause
I'm in. I'm already in for the conspiracy theory episode. I'm in.
Listen, if you know me and you want to, I was going to tell you this earlier today. I never finished thoughts. So let me finish the thought to you. Hey, come talk to me. Ask me if I've heard any interesting conspiracy theories lately, but only if you want to know. When all this happened, we were talking about that, and do you remember that some of our friends and people in our church got terrified, had panic attacks,
Definitely
and we didn't even know that we were like, we're not saying this is true, we're just talking.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but I don't remember what I was going to say about that afterwards. Conspiracy theories. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, good episode. You got anything you want to say to the folks at home?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, or if you're listening from a podcast, hello. I think we're getting a lot better at talking for the podcast.
I hope so.
Honestly, I don't think we said like once.
I think I did.
Maybe once or twice. I don't remember, but it's also
I think it was the first sentence I spoke after you did.
So I think we're getting a lot better at that. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. You guys are such a blessing. This is such a huge part of my week. Being able to come on with Todd and just talk about life and just being able to chop things up. It's a cool opportunity we have together. And it's just honestly, in the midst of all the craziness of just life, it is a time of being still, in my opinion.
I like
and that's
that a
so
lot.
cool. And I tend to forget that, but today's a day where I go, oh yeah, this is awesome. And you guys make that possible because you watch. So thank you guys. Love you.
Yeah, and remember, folks, you don't have to be on camera to have these moments of stillness and not talk yourself. And that's one of the goals of this, too. One of the goals is to give a platform for people to talk and ask questions that they might be afraid to ask. But also, it's an opportunity, hopefully, to give you an example of, hey, you can have real conversations with people in your life. I do think in our modern world, it's less common than we think to have conversations and allow there to be time for real conversations.
Right.
So, we encourage you to find people in your life and that you can have those kind of conversations with.
Absolutely.
Silly and real and about God and all those things. So it doesn't just need to be on Sundays. That's the big thing.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing I would like to say is to our podcast folks that are listening, if you are listening, we get sort of a report that lets us know people from different states and stuff. We would love to hear from you guys. So give us a review. Let us know where you're from in a review, particularly if it's a positive review. But we'd love to know where you're from. Or if you can even shoot us a comment into the link, right? At www.theremnant.life/real-talk and just say, hey, this is, we won't say your name, Bob from New York or Bob from When was one of the states we had some people?
Ohio.
You know, there was more.
And let us know where we're. New York, Texas. Let us know where you're listening from too. Like if you're listening from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox. Like let us know where you're listening from because we'd love to know.
It's pretty cool. This Real Talk family's growing, so
Absolutely.
we're very thankful. And those of you that are watching us on the video, on the web series, you we love you and we appreciate you so much. Please continue to help us beat the bots.
Beat the bots.
Like, share, and watch. Hey, if you're watching now, encourage your friends to watch more than 10 seconds too. We'd love to see that. So let us know what you like, guys. If you want to see us do something different, drop that in the comments below. If you want to see us talk about, if you like the episodes where we really just chop it up about life and all that and crazy things, let us know that. If you like the ones where we answer a lot of questions, if you would like to see, if you have a different thought of like, man, it'd be cool for you guys to, go through a Bible study, whatever else it is, and let us know. We really take that stuff seriously.
That's right. We're open.
Open for business.
For now.
Yeah. So, thank you guys so much up above. You know the links, real talk, I'm not even going to say it. If you want to donate to this ministry and to this podcast and web series because it's blessed you and you want to help it reach other people, please, you can do that above, or if you're listening at the link, www.theremnant.life/give. We also have a YouTube channel that I believe is just The Remnant Church.
Yep, I believe it's just The Remnant. Yeah.
The Remnant. You can look it up. I don't know.
It's got our fancy R as the
podcast people have no idea what that is.
Nope.
So don't worry about it. Other than that, that's about it. We hope you guys have a great day, and truly, God bless you.